Have you ever been so afraid of what might happen that you stop living in what's actually happening right now? Have you ever let fear of the future steal the present moment from you? Well, hey, my beautiful people, good morning and welcome to the season of self-love. It's your girl, Goddess NmW&x. And y'all know it's been a minute since I've done this Mindset Monday episode. And honestly, I have missed you. I've missed this. I've missed being here in this space with you. Well, you know what? I'm here. All right. So let me welcome you properly. All right. Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast, the season of healing intentionally. I am your host, NmW&x, and I am so glad that you are here. This season, we are slowing down to go deeper. Every Monday and Wednesday, we're creating a space of intentional healing, authentic conversations, and the kind of self-love that transforms from the inside out. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself intentionally is a foundation of true transformation. So whether you're on your own journey of rebirth, navigating life transitions, or simply choosing yourself, this is your safe space. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's heal together intentionally, because you deserve to embrace that beautiful person that you are. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome back to Mindset Monday here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. Well, you know, this month of March has been all about reclaiming your boundaries. And if you've been following along, you have heard some incredible conversations. Well, last week we had a conversation with Tracy Smith about talking about moving from people pleasing to self-trust, right? And before that, we had Michael O. Ostralik teaching us about somatics, tools on how to clear yes and no decisions. Well, this Wednesday, we have Russell Van Brocklin, who's coming on to talk about shame-freeing and learning and finding your voice. But today I need to talk to you about something that's different, something deeply personal for me, something that, that I've been going through and that I think that a lot of you that can relate to. Well, this past weekend, I had to reclaim my life. And I want to share that journey with you because I think that some of you are in the same place that I was. Some of you are stuck. Some of you are waiting. And some of you are letting fear keep you from living. So before we dive deep into this conversation, we're going to ground ourselves with our 60-second meditation. So wherever you are right now, I want you to close your eyes if you can, and I want you to get comfortable, all right? All right, my beautiful souls, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I want you to just pause for me for a moment. And I want you to put both feet on the floor. I want you to relax your shoulders and take a deep breath in. And slowly release. Now I want you to place one hand onto your heart. And now I want you to say quietly to yourself, and I want you to repeat after me. I am choosing life over fear. Inhale. Exhale. Now say quietly to yourself, I release waiting. I release the recovering bubble. I release the fear of what might happen. I choose to live in what is happening now. Now one more breath in. Release. Now say, I am reclaiming my life. I am worthy of showing up. I am here. I am alive, I am reclaimed, and I am unashamed. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people. If you are new here to the Season of Self Love podcast, that is something that we do on every episode just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand. All right, my beautiful people. Now let's talk about this. This is my truth. This is my story. All right. So, I've been gone, but not completely gone, but gone from this space, gone from showing up consistently, gone from our Mindset Mondays. And I need to be honest with you all about why. For the past few months, I've been in what I'm calling the recovery bubble. The recovery bubble. And I don't even know if that's even a real thing or if I just created that myself, but that is what it is. And that's what it felt like for me. Like I've been living in this protective bubble, waiting to be fully healed before I step back into my life. So I've been off of work for months, from my explant surgery, going through that. And then, all of my, most of the symptoms coming back and then going back. I've been just doing everything. And then as I'm waiting for everything, I've been, trying to write in my book and taking courses and doing all those things. But the truth is that I'm going to be real. I've been avoiding real work. I work, the work that I do, I love this work. This is the work that I was called to do, right? This is the work right here, the season of self-love. Ask Nyomi, elevate me self-discovery. I love showing up for this. I love showing up for you. But I was avoiding it. And why have I been avoiding it? Because of fear. I know you're like, why fear? Nyomi, you fear. Why? Fear of the brain fog. Fear of forgetting my words. Fear of not being sharp enough. Fear or clear enough or good enough. I've been dealing with migraines most of my life, but I've been dealing with forgetfulness now. I've been dealing with brain fog. And when you have a mother with dementia and a grandmother who had dementia, your mind goes to the darkest place. You start thinking, is it this? Is it that? Is this the beginning? Am I losing myself? So I waited. It's like I've been in a holding pattern all this time, I waited for the test results. I waited for the MRI. I waited for the EEG. I waited for someone to tell me if my worst fear was coming true. And then last week I got the results. Well, actually, it was a week before last I got the results. And I need you to hear it because it's important. Well, the doctor told me that I had a beautiful brain. A beautiful brain. No early signs of dementia. Said my brain is healthy. He said my brain is strong. He said my brain is beautiful. But you know what? The migraines are still here. The brain fog still shows up sometimes. And then the forgetfulness is still real. And so I had to make a choice. I could keep waiting. I could keep hiding. I could keep living in this recovery bubble, waiting for the day when everything is perfect. And I have no symptoms and I feel 100% cured or well, or I could reclaim my life. Or I can reclaim my life right now as I am, migraines and all. And this past weekend, I chose to reclaim my life. So the recovery bubble. So let's talk about this recovery bubble for a minute, because I think some of you are in it too. The recovery bubble. I'm going to explain to you what that recovery bubble is. That recovery bubble is that space where you're healing. You're healing. But you're also hiding. You're resting. But you're also running. You're taking care of yourself. But you're also using recovery as a reason not to show up. So I want to pause for a moment because I want to say this, is that when I thought about coming back today on this Monday and doing this episode, I was like, how do I show up today, not only for myself, but also for my listeners who have not had me on Mondays for a while. I know I've committed myself, and this is a commitment for me. You didn't ask me for this. This is something that I gave myself. I committed to myself. How can I show up in my authentic self? And I said I had to be real in this conversation. Just you and I, no Dr. Will, no nobody, just you and I. And how do I do this? And I said, you have to be real. You said that the year 2026, the new year, that it was going to be what? Reclaimed and unashamed. And so when you get on that platform on this Monday morning, that you have to say, I reclaimed my life yet again. But as I tell this story unashamed. Because I know a lot of you all right now are sitting in the same recovery bubble as I am. Not the same story, but you are sitting in that recovery bubble. I don't know what your bubble looks like for you, but we've all been there. And why I say pause right now, because I'm getting ready to give myself a pat on my back. Because I said, you're going to do this. But not only are you going to do this, you're going to sit in this. And for you to do this, this is amazing work that you are doing, baby. This is a great reflection that you are doing right now of self. That's why I had to pause. That pause was for me. Now I'm going to continue. But again, I want to repeat this. When you're taking care of yourself in that bubble, we also use that bubble. We also use in that recovery for the reason of not to show up for things. And I'm going to raise my hand and say, I've done that. I am guilty of that. And I'm going to make some calls to some people that I was unable to show up for, is because I did use that recovery for that. But here's the thing. Recovery is important. I'm going to say that recovery is important, and healing is very necessary. And rest is sacred. And I'm not saying for you that you should push through it when you need to heal. And I'm not saying that you should ignore your body's signals. But what I am saying is that sometimes we get so comfortable in recovery that we forget that we are allowed to live while we're healing. And I know for me that I got too comfortable, that I was trying to wait for that perfect health. That's what we do. We wait for that perfect health. We wait for all the perfect symptoms to disappear. And I believe I told you this before. I thought once I got my breast implants removed, that everything was going to go away. And I knew that they wasn't. I knew that it was going to take some time for my body to detox. But I didn't think that, especially my migraines, I didn't know that they were going to come back so intense. But I think what I did is I underestimated the mental that it was going to do for me, especially with brain fog, with the forgetfulness, with the finding the words through the air. You know, when you look for the words through the air. And I know there were several conversations that myself and Dr. Will had, even on air last year, about that very thing. Even talking to my sister, I remember she said, "Girl, that's nothing but perimenopause." And it's very easy for other people to say, when every day I stare my potential future every day. I look at dementia every day. Every moment of the day, I see my mother. And knowing that my mother's mother had it. So even though front, I didn't see it, I'm like, okay, I see it. But then subconsciously in the back of my mind, that's set in there. And it came very disabling for me. And before I knew it, it appeared. And it came in a different form. It was still fear, but it came in a different form. So my prayer was that when my boobs were removed and everything and it disappeared, and then it came back, and then my migraines came back with vengeance, with different things. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. I was looking, not only was I looking for a confirmation for something from the doctors, I was also looking for the confirmation of that there's nothing wrong. But we're going to figure out what it is. I wanted to hear that there was not dementia. I wanted to hear something different. I wanted to hear something different. All right, so let's continue. But what if that day never comes? What if that day never comes that everything is perfect? What if the healing looks like learning to live with the thing instead of waiting for it to completely go away? What if, listen to what I'm saying, what if healing looks like learning to live with the thing instead of waiting for it to completely go away? Now, hear me when I say this. You know, when I use it, and this is so funny. When I think about this now, and I think about when my mom was diagnosed with dementia a few years ago. And I remember when we first were going through that process, her and I, and mind you, I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and she has brothers and sisters and siblings, you know, but it was just her and I took it upon myself. I took all of that on myself because she lives with me and my family, me and my husband and my children and my child. And, you know, and so I figured that it's my responsibility because she lives with me. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to cure it. This was, and I'm taking you through what my mental, with my physical, with my mindset, everything with that was when my mother got and this is a brain fog coming right now, when she got the diagnosis wasn't only for her. That diagnosis was for me as well. Mind you, it was myself, her. No, it was just me and her there. My sister wasn't there. We called my sister once we got in the car. And I remember having that conversation. I told her, no, we're going to fix this. We're going to fix this. And I was online. I was looking up everything. I went and got every herbal book. My sister was, at her job looking at getting every herbal book, every book possible that she can get. Like we were on like to get everything to cure this. I turned my whole, garden into herbal things and just trying to get everything. And we were trying to cure her. My mom was not having it. She was not claiming it. She was not having it. And that first year of going through it for me and her was hell. It was hell. And I remember having this conversation with myself. I remember preparing for one of the shows here on the Season of Self-Love. And I remember doing some research, and I forgot, and I'm trying to remember, I don't know if it was me listening to the Four Agreements or it was another book I was listening to. And it was something that stood out to me. And that is when I came to realization that the diagnosis that my mother got, that this was not a curse, that this was a gift for me to learn something, that both of us to learn something, that our family to learn something. And I had to learn more about what this was. And I had to learn more about what I needed from this whole thing. And I know this sounds like, what about me, but you have to learn and hear me when I say this, you have to learn what is needed from an experience. Does that make sense? So what do I need to heal from this experience? So what experience do we need to heal from this dimension that my mother had? Is it empathy? Is it being in the present moment? Y'all follow me? Does that make sense? Understanding, compassion, those different things. And it's the funniest thing is this morning I was washing dishes, and every morning I listen to the Four Agreements. And as I'm listening to the Four Agreements, and I remember I started listening to the Four Agreements probably a few months before my mom was diagnosed with dementia. And this is such an ideal book to listen to, because when you're dealing with someone with Alzheimer's dementia, you cannot take things personal. You cannot take what they say personal, because it's not about you. It is not about you. And you can't assume that they would know anything. Well, I'm telling you, when you're dealing with somebody with that on a daily basis, and that's anybody, but this right here, you using the Four Agreements every second, every moment of the day when you are speaking with that person. And it was just preparing me for that. I've never heard of this book ever in life. And as well as my sister, she was the one who told me about the book, and just sitting with it. And we was looking like, wow, we both are big book readers. We've always read books, and we've never heard of this book before until that year. And it was like, it's been preparing us all along. It's preparing us for what was happening in that moment now, that's happening right now. And it's like the greatest thing of all is that we are now using these tools. We are now using these tools that we're learning. So me, and I'm raising my hand, me, as even being in this bubble, is that I'm now learning this as a healing tool, is that we have to understand that, yes, we do need to rest. Yes, we do need to recover, but we need to make sure that we are not running away from showing up, that we don't use it as a crutch. Does that make sense? And I hope I didn't lose y'all on it, because that's one thing with it too. I can lose some people when I get to talk. But that's where I've learned is from, and it just goes full circle with it just come full circle with my mother's diagnosis, from me being in fear that I possibly could have had it, to me being right now is just understanding that what healing looks like, learning to live with the thing instead of waiting for the completely go through. So this healing. So the question is, what if healing looks like learning to live with the thing instead of waiting for it to completely go away? So my thing is that I had to learn to live with my mother's diagnosis with dementia. And instead of it being a curse, it has actually been a gift for us, because this is where I've learned patience. This is where I learned who my mother is, not only as my mother, but as who she is as a person, who she was before me, before she even knew that she was having children. This is who I to know her as a woman, as an adolescent, as all of those people. And this is a really cool chick that I can really be friends with. But also it taught me empathy. I mean, I've already knew it, but it's a more deeper, sense of empathy. It taught me so many different things that I learned about myself in that healing process. So I hope I didn't lose y'all. But what if reclaiming my life means this? Means this. Going to the doctor, and I'm doing the treatments, and I'm taking the herbal remedies, and I'm living my life, and I'm doing my work, and I'm showing up for my purpose. Not either, but both and. What if that's showing me that I am doing everything collectively? What if that's saying it's not one or the other, but actually doing them both together? Proactive together. What if all of that? What if that's what that means? Me reclaiming my life. That's what it means for me. Yes, go to the doctor. Yes, do the treatments. Yes, take the herbal remedies. What works for you, do those treatments. Live your life. Do your work. Show up for your purpose. Do both. Or don't do, but live. Don't be stuck, but live. Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about the fear that kept me stuck. Let's go back there. So I want to be real with you all. Let me be real about this fear, because I think this is where a lot of us get stuck. So when I told you I was afraid to come back to work, come back to this work, and I had brain fog moment on here, just like you just heard that I just had. You will see me as less than. And I was afraid, and I just want to be honest, I was afraid that if I forgot my words or I lost my train of thought, you wouldn't trust me anymore, that you wouldn't listen to me anymore. And I was afraid that my health issues would make me unreliable, inconsistent, and not good enough. And right now, I'm just being honest and real. Because I remember having a conversation. I'm going to share this with you for a moment. I remember having a conversation with the loved one. We were talking about one thing, and before I knew it, I was talking about something totally somewhere else. And they had to say, we wasn't even talking about that. But I totally forgot what the conversation was. And I've never done that before. And that scared me so much. And that's when I had to step back and say, you know what? All right, I've already had these interviews with these people. I'm only going to do a couple of interviews a month just to make sure that I'm able to put out Wisdom Wednesday. And I'm just going to step back until the doctor tells me something. And then I'm going to try to figure out as much as I can as I go. And I was still sitting at my altar every morning, my meditation, my prayers, and I limited as much as I could what, doing. And I was unhappy doing that because I really wanted to be here on this platform. I wanted to be there on Ask Nyomi's platform. And if you notice, if you see, I haven't been posting a lot. I post some of my workouts when I have good days to work out. but the words were not coming. And even when I would look at words, like I could tell you right now, I will write stuff out, write it out, put it on a prompter, and would look at the word, knowing that I said the word, that I wrote the word, and the words will look scrambled. The words will look so scrambled. I'm like, oh my God, what is this? The one thing, when I had this chocolate radio, when I started off Ask Naomi years ago, I never had a prompter. I can speak and talk from the top of my head, my dome. I used to freestyle rap. Like it, boom, boom, boom. Let me tell you something. This side note. This perimenopause and it. This is, yeah. Let me tell you something. We women out there, and I'm just going to put this on the side note. We, us, they, them, her, she, women, and this is Women History Month. Women, we are very powerful women. We go through so many things, and I think that we are not held as powerful as we should be. We are not held up to the utmost of the things that we go through. We give birth, but not only that, our bodies go through some amazing, wonderful, and some outstanding things. It goes through some, when I tell you the changes that our body goes through, yeah, they go through some things, and I think they truly be underestimated, disrespected in so many ways. I could go on a tip, but yeah, and that comes with the brain fogs, the miss everything with the words, like everything. I remember having a conversation with Dr. Real once before about the mispronunciation of words, all of that. And it all comes from, perimenopause, the brain fogs, the brain freeze, the misreading of words. And I thought that, and I can honest, I truly thought that was, put in with, with the dementia with my mom. But then when I really think about it right now, it's compared with that thought in the fear. All of that had the fear that comes underneath. So I want to continue. All of that had fear underneath. So that was the deeper fear, all of that. It was the fear of me becoming like my mother. It was the fear of the losing myself the way that she's losing herself. All of that. That's why I was able to see those words missing, because it was the fear that every moment of forgetfulness is a sign of what's to come. And so in that fear, it was making me want to be more in control of things, that was seeing things differently, if that makes sense. And you know what? I'm gonna have to talk to Dr. Will, because we're gonna have to have another show about this, where he's gonna bring me on. I'm gonna have to sit on his couch live on a show one time, because I believe that this is something that people have to tap into as well. It's because sometimes when we have parents that have been diagnosed with a disease or something, and they have children, and sometimes we do have a fear that we can possibly have that hereditary of that disease or something like that. And I think subconsciously we can show a brave face, but once that mask has fallen off or whatever, it's like, wow. But I think of trying to control that narrative to make sure that we are not being there or showing those symptoms at all. I think the more we try to fight it, I think we create it. Does that make sense? I think the more that we fight it, we subconsciously created because we're coming from a place of fear. We're coming from a place of fear. And so for me sitting and waiting for that was a part of me controlling the narrative of, okay, I see Nyomi's forgetting things. Nyomi's kind of all over the place with the wording. This. I'm just giving you my thought pattern. That was the fear that kept me in my recovery bubble. That's what kept me waiting. That fear is what kept me from you. But here's what I realized this weekend is that the fear was still in my life, y'all. The fear was taking the present moment away from me. That fear was making decisions for me. And I am done. I am done letting fear be in charge. Because the truth is that I have a beautiful brain. And that's because the doctor says so. And even if the migraines come, even if the brain fog shows up sometimes, even if I forget my words, I'm still here. I'm still me. I am still called to do this work. And you deserve to have me show up, not perfect, but present. So what I want to do right now, I want to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about how reclaiming your life looks like. All right. It's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. And we'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, the goddess, Nyomi Banks. And make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all. And we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG group. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to xnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, my beautiful people, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love. Well, this month is talking about reclaiming your life. And today we're talking about reclaiming your life and just breaking free of that healing, that recovery bubble that I've been in. So I want to tell you now, we're going to talk about in this segment is about what reclaiming your life looks like. So what does it actually looks like to reclaim your life when health challenges, fear, or any other obstacle is trying to keep you small? So here's what I've learned this weekend and along the way, all right? Ooh, excuse me. So number one, stop waiting for permission for your circumstances. You don't wait until you feel 100% to start living. You don't wait until all of your symptoms are gone. You don't wait until the fear disappears. You decide that you're going to live. You decide that you're going to live and heal at the same time. You're going to show up and you're going to take care of yourself. You're going to do the work and do the treatments. Not either or, but both. And number two, make peace with your imperfections. You make peace with imperfection. Listen, I may have brain fogs at moments on this podcast, and I might even forget a word or two or 5 or 6. I might lose my train of thought. And you know what? That's okay. Because I am human. And being human means that's being imperfect. And when you listen to this, you have your own health challenges and your own limitations and your own struggles. You don't have to be perfect either. You just have to be present. And that's coming from somebody who is a recovering perfectionist. And number 3, you separate the fear from the facts. The fact is, I have migraines. The fact is, sometimes I have brain fog. Those are the facts. The fear is that it means that I'm losing myself, that I'm not capable, that I'm following in my mother's footsteps. That's fear. And fear is not fact. So I'm learning to acknowledge the fear without letting it make my decisions. I can feel afraid and still choose to move forward. And I'm going to say that again. I can feel afraid and still choose to move forward. And number 4, you honor your healing and your purpose. Honor your healing and your purpose. I'm not abandoning my healing to do this work. I'm still going to the doctors. I'm still doing my treatments. I'm still taking care of myself. But I'm still also honoring my purpose. I'm also showing up for my work. I'm also reclaiming the life that I always called to live. Because healing doesn't mean hiding. Healing doesn't mean waiting. Healing can happen when you're living. And it can. And number 5, you choose yourself. Ultimately, reclaiming your life isn't about choosing yourself. It's about saying, I matter. My purpose matter. My voice matter. And I am not going to let fear, illness, or any other obstacle silence me in any way. It's about setting a boundary with your own fear and saying, you can be here, but you're not in charge of me anymore. Because guess what? I am. I am. I am. That's how you do it. So I know you asked, and now what? This is exactly what I've been talking about all month in our Reclaiming Your Boundary series. So Tracy Smith, she talked about moving from people-pleasing to self-trust. And what is reclaiming your life if it's not trusting yourself enough to show up when you are afraid? And Michael O taught us about somatic tools for clear yes and no decisions. And this weekend, my body said yes. Yes to showing up. Yes to living, and yes to reclaiming my life, even though my mind was screaming no out of fear. And this Wednesday, Russell Van Brocklin is going to talk about shame, fear, learning, and finding your voice. And y'all, I've been learning that I can have health challenges and still have a voice, that I can be imperfect and still show up, that I can be in process and still be powerful. That's what reclaiming your boundaries is really about. It's about setting boundaries with anything that's trying to keep you small, including your own fear, including your own doubts, including your own limitations. And so for anyone that's in their own recovery bubble, if you're listening to this right now and you are in your own recovery bubble, whether it's health related or emotional or anything else, I want to talk to you directly. Or maybe you're waiting for your depression to lift before you start living again. Or maybe you're waiting for your anxiety to go away before you put yourself out there. Or maybe you're waiting for your body to heal before you pursue your dreams. Or maybe you're waiting for your finances to be perfect before you start that business. Or maybe you're waiting for your confidence before you use your voice. But whatever you're waiting for, I want you to ask yourself, what if that day never comes? What if healing looks like learning to live with that thing instead of waiting for it to completely disappear? Because here's what I've learned. Life doesn't wait for us to be ready. Life is happening right now. And we can either participate or we can keep waiting in the recovery bubble. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that you should ignore your needs or push through when you genuinely need rest. But I'm saying there's a difference between healing rest and hiding. Healing rest is about restoration. Hiding is about fear. And only you know which one you're in. Only you know if you're genuinely healing or if you're using recovery as a reason not to show up for your life. So I'm asking you the same question I asked myself this weekend. Are you healing or are you hiding? And if you're hiding, what would it look like to reclaim your life today? Not tomorrow, not when you feel better, but today. Today. So here's what I'm committing to right here and right now in front of you all. I'm committing to showing up, not perfectly, but consistently. I'm committing to doing Mindset Mondays again. Even if I have a brain fog moment, even if I lose my words sometimes, I'm committing to continuing to the season of self-love and to ask Nyomi because this is my work. This is what I'm called to do. And I'm committing to continuing my doctor's appointments and my treatments and my herbal remedies. And I'm taking care of myself. But I'm also continuing and committing to living, to creating, to serving, and to showing up. Because I refuse to let fear steal my life. I refuse to let migraines silence my voice. And I refuse to stay in the recovery bubble when my purpose is calling me out. I'm inviting you to make the same commitment. Whatever your recovery bubble looks like, whatever fear is keeping you stuck, whatever obstacle is in your way, I'm inviting you to reclaim your life. Not when it's perfect, not when you're ready, but now. But right now. All right, my beautiful people. So before we close out, I want to leave you with this affirmation, all right? So repeat this with me out loud if you can. I am choosing life over fear. I am worthy of living even while I'm healing. I release the need to wait for perfect conditions. I reclaim my life, my voice, and my purpose. I am here. I am alive. I am enough. I am reclaimed. I am unashamed. And I am free. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, my beautiful people. I want to thank you for being here with me today. And I want to thank you for holding space with me here, for me to be vulnerable, for me to be real, for me to be human with you. And I hope this message have landed where it needed to land. And if you've been waiting, and if you've been hiding, and if you've been stuck in your own recovery bubble, I hope that it has given you permission to step back into your life, that you don't have to be perfect, that you don't have to be symptom-free, that you don't have to have it all figured out, that you just have to show up, that you just have to choose yourself, that you just have to say yes. to life, even when fear is screaming no. And remember, healing and living can happen at the same damn time. That you don't have to choose between taking care of yourself and showing up for your purpose. That you can do both. So this week that I want you to ask yourself, what am I waiting for? And what would it look like to reclaim my life today? And then I want you to take one step, just one step out of your recovery bubble and back into your life. Now, if this episode has resonated with you, I want you to share this with someone who needs to hear it and leave a review. Send a message on Instagram to me at the Season of Self-Love Podcast and let me know if what you're reclaiming this week. I love hearing from you. And make sure that you are tuned in this Wednesday for our conversation with Russell Van Brocklin about shame-free learning and finding your voice. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be powerful. So until next Monday, Mindset Monday, this is Nyomi Banks, reminding you to be good to one another and yourselves. And always keep it sexy. Love yourself first. You can love others well. Have a good one. Have a good one. Have a good one. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey of intentional healing. I hope that this conversation has filled your cup and reminded you of the beautiful and worthy person that you are. I want you to remember, healing isn't about rushing. It's about showing up for yourself with love and intention, one day at a time. So I'll see you back here Monday and Wednesday for another episode of the Season of Healing Intentionally, right here on the Season of Self-Love Podcast. So until then, keep choosing you. And visit us at the seasonofselflovepodcast.com for show notes and resources. And remember to connect with me on Instagram at The Real Nyomi Banks. This has been brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, because your healing matters. You are loved, you are worthy, and you are exactly where you need to be. Take care.